Hassan, thank you so much for joining me today. I am representing 7 Days, Make Ripple Change the World, and you are representing Crescent Peace Society. So Hassan, tell us about you a little bit and your association with Crescent Peace Society.
Sure. I'm the president of Crescent Peace Society. The Crescent Peace Society was founded in 1996 after the Oklahoma City bombing. And several children in our community came home to their parents and said that they were scared to go back to school the next day because other kids in the school had said that they were responsible for the bombing. And so several parents in our community got together and they said, what are we doing with our time and with our, with the opportunities we have to let people know who we are, because there's no way that they should think these things about our community. So they got together as just normal people, not religious scholars or anything, but just parents, and formed the Crescent Peace Society as a grassroots organization that could meet to get to know other people from other communities and learn about their faiths, and also teach them more about what our faith is and what we believe. So I became the president a few years ago of the Crescent Peace Society. It's run by people in my parents' generation and originally, and they were looking for people who are younger than them to help pass the torch to. And so one of the aunties came to me and he was like, "Can you help us with CPS?" And I don't like saying no to the aunties when they ask me to do things. So
I think in every tradition and every culture, nobody wants to say no to the aunties or to the grandparents.
Right.
Right.
And so that's how I got it.
We all listen to our aunties.
Yeah. No, they put a lot of work into it, and I wanted to make sure, especially because that's going to benefit people in my children's generation, and they're going to, by the work of getting people together, bringing people together, knowing one another, is going to help them, I think. And so that's what we're hoping to renew and keep going for everyone.
Hassan, how many members do you have? And do people pay a fee to be a member of Crescent Peace Society?
We don't have any membership fees. We have like a large following of like people who follow our updates or follow our emails and things like that. The core group is about 15 to 20 people that work and build and like plan the events and everything. But then we have the annual dinner has about over 300 people usually, and so we have a large group of people who benefit or who participate in different events throughout the year. We don't have like a strict like these are the members of this is the CPS Nation, but we have like a lot of people that I think are touched by our work or that we work with over the year. I feel like if you're not writing your own narrative, then somebody else is writing it for you, and so you have to get out there and let people know who you are, because that's otherwise that's one of the things I've learned over the last few years is that there's this one phrase that someone told me is that if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And so it's really important to be out there and be participating, because that's how you get people to know who you are. And it also has the byproduct of letting people meet you and get to know you in person, and they can say like you had that experience where you realized that you had met a Muslim person and you knew a Muslim person, and suddenly they become something more tangible than the things that you hear about people, because you can put a face to a large segment of the population. And so while they definitely don't stand in for everybody, it helps you realize that there are people close by or just people that have different beliefs than you, and it works out just fine. Everybody gets along.
You and I follow each other a little bit on Instagram. And you're pretty good at Instagram. You put your kids on there, and it's really cute. And you're a big teddy bear of a dad. You love your kiddos just like I love my kids, and you kiss them goodbye in the morning just like I do, and you say I love you, and you embarrass them like I embarrass mine. And so I love that Crescent Peace Society is stepping out, but I do feel like it's everybody's responsibility, and that's really what we do also through Faith Always Wins at 7 Days, is we try to give people a space to do it. Like people ask me, how did you just walk into the mosque? And I said, well, they asked me to. And, so I did. And so sometimes you do need to be asked to come and asked to break bread. So let's talk about breaking bread, Hassan. What are you going to do for Ramadan? So yeah, what are you going to do?
That's going to be wild. Usually during Ramadan, there's a, we're fasting from sunrise to sunset, and so we're not eating any uh, food or water during the day. And then usually to open the fast, you have these gatherings where you get together with people and you open your fast together and you celebrate that, we made it through this day, that we didn't eat anything. And there's big get-togethers, and then in the evening, there's usually these big communal or congregational prayers that we have each night at the mosque. And right now, all our mosques are closed, and we're not getting together at people's houses for dinner anymore. So it's going to be a really interesting month this year. I think, we've learned. I think in the last few weeks, we've learned a lot about what life can be like. Being spiritual in isolation this way, and how we are still really grasping for that connection with people, like through these Zoom meetings, like one we're having right now.
Right, and I have on my Connect shirt. Connecting.
And so I've found that our local mosques have reached out, and they do like 2 Zoom meetings a day, one after the morning prayer and one after the evening prayer, where they do a short lecture on Zoom, and people have been getting online for those. Some of the national organizations have been getting some of the well-known national Muslim speakers together in the evenings also for a nightly lecture, and trying to get together. I think there's going to be a lot of that.
That's great. So I would ask you, how can someone watching this video of you and learning about Muslims and really Crescent Peace Society is the whole point of this, but learning that Crescent Peace Society is available and you do a lot of things for kindness, how can people help Crescent Peace Society?
I think that if you connect with us on Facebook, especially, we're pretty active on our Facebook group there. If you keep up with us and keep up with our updates, we're always usually up to something with future events. Right now, it's kind of, we don't have any events scheduled with all the isolation going on, but that's a good way to keep in touch with us. And when we do fundraisers and things like that for the turkey drive, that's a good way to keep up with us, so you can participate in that. And we'll let you know when we have a future Meet a Muslim event coming, or when we finally schedule our annual dinner for the next, when we are able to schedule stuff like that, that'll be available there.
Son, thank you so much for your time, and I do enjoy your Instagram posts, so I'm glad that I follow you. I need to get better at them, and thanks for all the work that you do with Crescent Peace Society, because I know from personal experience how important it is to not fear, and the way that we don't fear is that we understand. And even if we can't break bread together in person, I think I'll do some Facebook Living with you all during Ramadan, so I can
yeah
you then.
That'd be great. Thank you so much for all your work, Mindy. And I really, you're one of my personal heroes for all the work that you do. And I really am honored to be on the call with you.
Thank you. It's good to have this personal time. Okay, well, have a wonderful, safe day, and tell your kiddos hello.
I will. Thank you.
I'd like you to start talking, Mary, and let us know, how did you find yourself at Operation Breakthrough?
So I had been in Detroit working with persistently failing schools, and commuting in it was, my kids had settled here. My husband was working on another nonprofit, and we had decided we were coming back to Kansas City, and it just so happened that that was a point at which Operation Breakthrough transition. And so my whole career has been all about really disrupting traditional public schooling, and in terms of serving children who oftentimes are underserved. And so it was a perfect opportunity to, when you think about how hard it is to try to catch kids up, and when you get this opportunity to, with 400 kids, to actually make sure they start school ready and they have all those supports they need for families to flourish, Operation Breakthrough just has been a great landing point for me. And, who better to learn from than the sisters?
Tell us about the sisters. Just I know there's so many years about the sisters you could talk about, but give our audience, there may be people watching who have never heard of Operation Breakthrough. So,
it's hard to believe that next year for us will be year 50. But the sisters started at 49 years ago. Some parents came and they were teaching at school on the east side, and parents came and said we have to watch our children when we're at work. And the sisters thought, you know what, we can do this. And so they started out in the convent with 4, and suddenly it was 40 and 400, and now it'll be over 700 this summer, kids that we're serving from birth to 14. So what a story of resilience and really working hard to meet the needs of children. And that's kind of the story of the sisters. I know the one thing I want to share, because I was thinking about it as I was getting ready this morning, I had only been at Operation Breakthrough a couple months when you announced the first walk, and that's when you really saw Sister Berta at her best, because she had decided that this was the perfect event for our families. When you think about the loss that many of our families have, and all of the things, when you think about the ripples and how you can change through love and kindness and all those things, she really wanted us to be a big presence. And so I can remember saying, we need buses for this. We need city buses. And she just got her little Rolodex out, and she called the mayor and told him we needed 2 buses. And lo and behold, we had 2 Metro buses that took us to that very first walk. And it's one of those memories that you have that stay with you ever. And every year thereafter, this has been really one of those culminating activities for our families. I think each year we've had a couple of buses of families, and it's so neat because we see our whole families participating, and we do a whole week of activities along with you. And we've already planned out the week. I printed out our little thing I'm going to grab for you, but because we're only providing essential care right now, we actually have activities that our families are going to be able to do at home to really celebrate each of those days, starting with love, and then kind of moving through the week. So I thought I'd give you kind of a little sneak preview of what some of those days are going to look like, and how do we do that when we're not all connecting physically, but we're connecting virtually.
Mary, are you in the office right now? You're at the school.
Yeah, we have kids here. We have kids here. So we have here, teachers here. I mean, we are really working hard to kind of whole holistic set of needs, from food and those things, to really making sure our families who are in healthcare are working. So we're doing essential care only. So that's for any of our families who are in a healthcare role.
Yes. Yeah. You have all kinds of channels to help the family, not just the children, but the whole family. And I appreciate that. So how can our listeners, our viewers help you? How can we be of assistance to you? What would you ask for?
Well, you've done the bus tour before that Sister Berta started, called The City You Never See. And one of the things we do when we end that tour, and I think it's appropriate to your question, is say, what can we do personally, what can we do professionally, and what can we do civically? And I think at that personal level, I always say share something, share a talent, and find somewhere. When we talk to our families, it's a lot of those opportunities that happen because people are volunteering, something that's special to them and sharing it. Is big. So I think that volunteering piece, whether it's the pantry or it's in a classroom, for us, that's huge. You can't do it right this minute, but when things start going again, I think as we grow, we need more of that. I think the second thing is be a mentor. The number of our alums and our parents who say, just having had a mentor was transformative. And then the third is advocacy, in terms of understanding what's happening around us. Civically, I think is really, really important. And in talking about the pantry, one of the things I always bring up is there's so many examples of how we can be more familiar. Each year in the past 2 years, when they were planning the federal budgets, they were thinking, what if we cut food stamps and boxed food? And it fortunately never made it into the budget. But you can imagine, we typically don't bag food because there's no utilities. So the ability to make sure to make choices that are going to work for their family food. So I always say those are examples of how we can civically understand what's happening, whether it's budgets or just around us, that can impact some of our more vulnerable families.
Okay, good. Thanks. Is there anything else that you want to share that
I do. Let me grab I want to give you a sneak peek because our first day, which is super exciting, our love day, we are actually delivering seeds and planters for all of our families. Love is like a flower. You've got to let it grow. So that's our day one.
that's
And then our
awesome.
second day is a front door challenge in which for Discover, we're having everybody do a discovery with their front doors. And then we're going to go around and kind of do a little gallery so we can capture them and share them with everybody. And then our third day, we're actually going to use virtual text messages to support families and pay it forward. And that I think is going to be really exciting. And then we're handwritten cards with affirmations on day 4. And then our last day, which is about you, we've been doing live Zoom yoga for our families. We're going to do a special event that day where everybody can sign in and do that together.
You run a very big ship, and I know it moves fast, and I appreciate all the time that you've given me today. I really do. I'm always tearful when I think about Operation Breakthrough. I have a picture of Reet on the wall in front of me in my office, and it's not the same one on your pantry, but it's similar, and so you're near and dear to my heart and always will be.
Well, and he is alive and well. Hopefully you're seeing some of our social media posts, because just watching all of the food and the resources go out to family has to just touch your heart.
Well, have a beautiful day, a beautiful week, and good luck, and stay healthy, of course, and prayers to everybody at Operation Breakthrough.
You too. All right, thank you.
So I'm going to just have you all introduce yourselves. And so Shanna, I'll have you introduce yourself, please, and let us know how you came to be with Zero Reasons Why, and give us a definition of who Zero Reasons Why is.
Sure. So my name's Shanna Burgess. I'm the Director of Prevention and Community Relations at Johnson County Mental Health Center. And I was lucky enough to be part of some of the initial conversations when the 6 Johnson County superintendents were first starting this. And they were very thoughtful in bringing other community partners around the table to just talk about the identifying concern of young people completing suicide, and teens are driving the content, driving the implementation and everything that's happening. And so that was a real game changer for our community, and something that I truly appreciate about the campaign.
So Pooja, why don't you tell us about you? So where you go to school and age and how you got involved.
Yeah, so my name is Pooja. I am a senior from Blue Valley West. And I got involved through my superintendent, Dr. White. I have served on a district council with him for all 4 years of high school. And mental health and suicide is something that we talked a lot about, especially a couple of years ago when we saw that spike and just what we could do for the community. So when Zero Reasons Why is created, that's something he told me that was happening. And he said, he told me, email Steph, if you want to get involved, this is definitely something that we need in the community. And so it was really great to see that all the 6 superintendents came together and made this. I think something that just makes Zero Reasons Why very different and very important right now is that there is a lot of student voice. It is a student-led campaign. And I think that's really important just because we are the ones in the schools, it's our friends and our peers who are experiencing these. And as much as adults want to help, they don't really know what it's like firsthand. So I think that's something really important, really cool about Zero Reasons Why that's different than other suicide prevention campaigns.
How do you help students know that it's available, and then whenever it is needed, what happens? What comes into play?
So, students see that it's available because it's a storytelling campaign. So a lot of students, parents, teachers, or just anyone who maybe has struggled with mental health or has a friend who has, or a friend who maybe completed suicide, a lot of people come to Zero Reasons Why, and then on our social media outlets, they tell their story. So that's kind of how we are spreading the word. And then regarding on how it gets into schools, that really just differs depending on the people who are in the schools in the campaign. So some people have a lot more mental health Zero Reasons Why related activities, while others just say this is a thing. If you need help, go ahead and reach out and stuff. But we do have a lot of student ambassadors who are taking it to their schools and who are spreading the message.
As Pooja was saying, student ambassadors, teen council members are taking this within their schools and within even just school buildings or the surrounding community. They might be implementing different strategies that work for that specific building or community. So really it can be customized. The campaign is built off 3 pillars that really kind of stretch and overarch many different components. So it's end the stigma, build community support, and commit to education. So there's different strategies amongst all of those that might be rolling out in different buildings, cities, counties, communities, however you define that. And, just many different ideas. And that's where, as the students are taking hold of this and knowing what's going on, knowing what they need, and knowing what their resources are in their particular area. And again, that looks very different from place to place. One pretty exciting thing that we did this year is we had someone from the Johnson County Mental Health Center crisis line come in, and she talked about, as she's on the other end when people place calls to the crisis line. So she talked to the students about, these are different examples of why you might call the crisis line. This is the information that they might want. This is information that you don't have to provide, and you yourself don't have to be in a crisis in order to use that resource. So you could be calling and asking questions in relationship to a friend or whatnot. So that was a really valuable resource to have kind of that firsthand experience of, what is it like to call a crisis line? Like, I'm not going to wait until I'm in a crisis to, 1, know of that resource, and 2, kind of know what to expect. So that was a really unique opportunity. I think there were some aha moments with the students there of, okay, so this is something that I might utilize in the future.
Yeah, I had an aha moment when you were telling me that I didn't have a crisis to use it, but that I could use it, and then I wouldn't know, as a student, I probably wouldn't understand what information to provide and what information I didn't have to provide at the time. Mm-hmm. So when students come back in the fall, what kind of role will they be expected to play?
So the students can either sign up to be a student ambassador or a teen council member. So if they were to sign up to be a teen council member and then they were chosen for that, they would have a little bit more responsibility. They'd be expected to come to more meetings, bring it into the schools more. Also, maybe do things like this, like interviews or just different media outlets and stuff. Student ambassadors are more expected to just bring it into the schools and to spread the messages.
So Shanna, how do you need help? How does Zero Reasons Why get funding? Do you need funding? What kind of help? So you're going to be talking to, this interview is going to be available to potentially a whole lot of new people who may have no idea what Zero Reasons Why is, and then they might say, oh, I want to help. So how can people help you all?
Sure. I think there's many different ways to get connected and get involved. So I know one thing that I really appreciate about the campaign is all the different aspects of social media that are pushed out, and that's really where that storytelling lives. So to be able to, like the campaign on Facebook or Twitter or whatever your social media outlets are, and to be able to follow those stories, that is a great way. Just connect with the campaign on social media and invite others to interact with the campaign, to share the campaign, to participate in the campaign.
They say, oh, I need help quickly, or I need to do something quickly. Is the website a good first start? And then are there resources on the website to help somebody who gets there?
Sure. So there absolutely are resources on the website. If you were just to go to zeroreasonswhy.org, you would be able to see all of that. And then there's also ways that if you want to contact us and talk, there's a way to contact the campaign too.
That is very helpful. That's very helpful information that we'll be able to share with people. So good. Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate your time very much. Yeah. I do want you to tell us a little bit about you and what you're doing, and how you're making a ripple of kindness with Unleashed Pet Rescue.
Thank you so much. So we're super happy to be chosen, and we really appreciate it. It is unfortunate that, you know, the events that took place, because we were looking forward to it, and the walk seemed really great, and a chance to get out in the community and meet everyone, kind of tell everybody what we're about. So we are basically, we're a smaller rescue, and we have roughly about 32 employees. So we rely heavily on volunteers and foster homes to make, you know, this happen. We typically we can house about 90 dogs, and that's pretty full at our shelter. So we currently have almost 500 dogs in our care. So that is how many foster homes we have in the metro area. So I think that, you know, our numbers speak for themselves in that aspect. So we really try to, you know, get out there and help in the community. And we pull a lot of our dogs from kill shelters. So when their times are up, we go in. That's what rescues do. You go in and you pull them before, you know, anything can happen. So we also go out, we have outreach in the Kansas City area where we go out. We have volunteers and some staff that go out on the streets. And, you know, we get calls about dogs that are neglected in backyards and stuff like that. And we'll go do a welfare check, talk to the owner, see if we can help them, you know, how we can do it. We will give them everything. We also have a community pantry at the shelter. You can't afford to feed your animal, come pick up food free, just, you know, anything we can do to help that animal stay in a home and out of the shelter or the streets. Our founder, she started this in 2011. She started it in her garage.
Thank you, because I was going to ask you, when did it start, and when did you get started? So you're not the founder?
I am not. No, the founder is Danielle Reno. I am the event coordinator for Unleashed. So, and you kind of wear a lot of different hats at the shelter. You know, when you have that many animals and minimal staff, you kind of have to know what every job does. So right now that this is going on and the events have pretty much come to a halt, I've been doing a lot of foster work with, you know, helping the fosters out. We have new intakes coming in every day. We're one of the few shelters that are still able to run. It's a learning process, absolutely, and it has just been it's been chaotic. I mean, everybody has just been working, you know, hours after hours every day. So it's a learning process, you know, absolutely. But I think that we're holding it down really well, and I think that our staff has been absolutely nothing short of amazing. So for us, I know for Danielle, you know, she founded this on the premise that, you know, we can save them all. And if there's a will, there's a way. And Danielle, you know, and Unleashed has just been time and time again, you know, proven that to be. So we make miracles happen every day. So, I mean, you ask me honestly, and it's just, I mean, some days we don't even know how we do it, you know, but but we don't stop. So, and it just happens.
About how long is a pet in a home for foster care?
So it can vary depending on the pets. There's a lot of different factors. So puppies generally, they have to have at least 2 rounds of vaccinations. They have to be at least 8 weeks old to be spayed or neutered. You know, we have adult dogs that we get in, and those are generally foster to adopt, you know, if they go to foster. So because the adult dogs, you know, sometimes they need that little extra help, you know, for whatever behaviors they may have. So those are generally foster to adopt. Puppies always generally tend to go quicker, you know, of course. So those are usually just at least a 2-week foster, you know. And if we have puppies that are already spayed and neutered, that they just need to have, you know, another round of shots, some puppies are only a few days.
And what is your mission statement? What's your mission to do what with, because you get all these animals in. So I understand now you get all these animals in that you need to care for, and you have all this food and vaccinations available and spay and neutering available to help people who are in need. What is your mission?
Our mission basically kind of speaks for itself, is we can save them all. Together, if we all work collectively and people are responsible, we can save them all. We don't have to have, we don't have to euthanize animals for space ever. That shouldn't even be, it's 2020 and that shouldn't happen anymore, but it does. Yeah. And our mission is to save them all together. We have to work together and, have to take responsibility. There's really no need, there's no need for it. There's so much help out there and resources. So.
Okay, good. And so you take them in, if they come in intake, and then you put them in foster homes, and then you're finding a forever family.
So all of our animals, a good way to see what we have incoming is our social media sites. The website is real-time updated, so all the animals that are on there are available for adoption. Animals will come in, and then generally we always post them on our main Facebook page. So, people will get applications in. Go to our website, you can fill out the application, send it in. Fosters usually will contact you. You can schedule a meet and greet with the animal. And then on the day that they get spayed and neutered, they're able to go home. Okay. When you foster through us, we provide absolutely everything. We'll give you a crate, food. We provide all medications, everything. So vet care. So it's really all you're doing is kind of, giving them a safe place to land and thrive, but we will provide everything. So
you make it very accessible to get them into a safe environment for the fostering part.
That is exactly what we try to do. And we have an army behind us of volunteers. So there's no question, there's really no issues that could happen that some other foster hasn't been through. So, the help is it's endless. So.
Okay, so let's tell our listeners, the people who are watching this video, how can they help you? If they hear this video and they are touched, which they will be, but if they are touched so much that they choose Unleashed Pet Rescue as their Onward, they're like, I want to do something for them. How do you need help? What way can they help you?
So we, right now, other than the, most obvious would be monetary donations, foster homes. We can't save these guys without a foster home. So the more fosters that are reaching out to us, the more animals we're able to pull from those shelters. So that is why we've been able to have so many in our care right now, is because the community has just really surrounded us with a lot of love and support. And we've been able to save much more animals than normally.
So we have a pet as well, and she's a love. So I understand what you're talking about. So thank you so much. We will package up this video and get it out to people and make sure that you are featured and get some help.
Thank you so much, Mindy. I appreciate it.
This is our opportunity to have you share who you are and tell us about your charity and what does that mean to you? What would you want people to know about Bags of Fun?
All right. Well, I'm Louisa. I'm the executive director of Bags of Fun, Kansas City. We have been in Kansas City since 2011. In fact, this week, the first week of April, is our 10th birthday. So we are very proud. We literally started in 2011 on a wing and a prayer. So shoestring budget, one-man band kind of thing. And we have grown immensely in the last 10 years. So it's important to note that we did start in Denver in 2004. And we share the same tax ID with them. We're kind of like Make-A-Wish in that respect, and that they're our mothership in Denver. But everything we do in Kansas City is self-supporting. We do our own fundraising, and we have our own program separate from them. So what we do, our mission, is to make a difference in the lives of children and their families who are faced with fighting cancer and other long-term life-threatening illnesses. And we do that by our signature program, which is delivering a bag of fun. A bag of fun is a brightly colored backpack filled to the brim with educational items, toys, and games that are picked specifically for each child based on their interests, their developmental age, and their treatment needs. A lot of our patients are under neurological rehab, and so they need special things for OT and PT. Some of our patients are awaiting heart transplants, and so they can't have anything magnetic in that part of the hospital, that kind of thing. So we pay close attention to what their treatment needs are, as well as what their likes and interests are. Each bag of fun is worth $400, and each one has an electronic component inside along with some tag-along items. And the whole purpose is just to bring that intrinsic childhood need to play into a very, what could be depressing and adult situation for these children.
How do you get your kids? Like, how do you know?
So we get most of our referrals come from the child life department in the hospitals that we serve. So here in Kansas City, we serve children being treated at Children's Mercy Hospital. That is the bulk of our referrals, but also the University of Kansas Medical Center, Stormont Vale in Topeka, and then Cox and Mercy Kids in Springfield, Missouri. Right now, during these times, our program has looked a little bit different than in the past. We have been very lucky in the last 10 years that we are able to actually offer our sponsors and our donors, our grantors, the chance to come with us and stuff the bag and then deliver it to the child while in the hospital. Obviously, we can't do that now. We don't even get a face-to-face delivery anymore. We're kind of doing a drive-by drop-off in the front circles of the hospitals where a parent will meet us and they will do a contactless pickup through our cars. And especially if they're in the hospital and isolated, a lot of times they're fearful and anxious, and we can see almost immediately as they become engaged in some of the items in their bag, they're not focusing on their diagnosis or prognosis or the ouches that are going to come next. You know, they're really focused on playing and being a child.
About how many patients, children, do you have on hand at a time that you're delivering to? And do you deliver to them more than once?
The first part of that question, because we are a referral-based foundation, I can't tell you, we have an average that we do annually. Right now, that average looks to be about 225 to 265 bags a year annually. But some weeks we'll have 0 referrals. Some weeks we'll have 18 referrals. It just kind of depends. And then the second part of your question was, do we ever deliver more than once? So certain children, some of our cancer patients, yes, the answer is yes. If they are infusion dependent, or if they have had a clean bill of health and then relapsed, they'll get a relapse bag. If they're infusion dependent, after 5 years, we generally give them a new one because they've grown out of the stuff that we've done. Also, if they have a bone marrow transplant, they get a bone marrow transplant bag, because when you have a bone marrow transplant, you're in isolation for 6 weeks and you don't leave the hospital and you don't see your siblings. And so we just feel that that's a really good time where we can make a direct impact on their treatment.
That's great. So Louisa, is your team you and a few volunteers, or is it you and 100 volunteers? What does your team look like when you get 18 referrals in a week?
It started out me doing everything. I was the one-man band, and then my college-age daughter would help me when she could. I've been very blessed that we have a lot of people who want to remain involved in our program and have. And so now in our 10th year, we have myself and I have 2 staff members, and then we have about 5 pretty regular volunteers that are willing to do whatever on the volunteer basis and not get paid. And then we work really hard to, like I said, provide our donors and grantors and corporate partners the chance to come in and be a part of that. So we really work hard to schedule days where certain companies know they can come in and stuff bags and possibly deliver them if we have the need.
Okay, and that's a really good segue to, obviously the reason we are talking in this fashion, and we're not hosting our walk yet. Now we're actually kind of taking advantage of the fact that we have more time and we can put this in video and, repackage it for our followers and people that we want to introduce you to people that are following 7Days. So, but in this time, and the reason we had to change is because of coronavirus, COVID-19. So you've talked a little bit, you've touched on a few things. How has COVID-19 changed your daily routine? So, you mentioned an office. I'd like to know, what does that look like to you now?
Well, first and foremost, because of COVID-19, we have lost, we don't even know yet the total, like you, of fundraising wise, as things keep getting postponed and possibly canceled. But now one of the issues we're running into is being able to fill the bags with the quality product in a timely manner as everything is being shut down. We partner with Brookside Toy and Science, and they do a wonderful job of buying things specifically for us, and they also give us a wonderful discount. So I'd love to give them the plug anytime I can, but they're pretty much only open for curbside pickup.
Yeah, how can people help you right now in 1, 2, or 3 ways? What is helpful to Bags of Fun?
Well, the most helpful thing to Bags of Fun is always funding. So we always look for anyone who is willing to give us that $220, $300 general donation now that is allowed based on the new stimulus bill that was passed into law last week. We also always look for corporate partners, any corporation, any local company who wants to be a part of our process and help fund us that way. We always are looking for volunteers, not just right this minute, but we urge anyone to go on our website and click, I want to be a volunteer, and we'll get you into our program as soon as we can.
Thank you. Well, that's a great way to end our interview. So thank you. I appreciate it. And we'll get you a copy of the video too.
Okay. Thanks, Mindy.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. Nice to meet you.
You too. Bye-bye.
I'm Mindy Corporon. I'm with 7Days Make a Ripple Change the World. And Disabled But Not Really is one of our 14 charities. And also, Wesley Hamilton is our featured speaker on Others Day. So we're really grateful to have you with us, Nakia. And so tell us a little bit about you and Disabled But Not Really and how you got started with them.
So I actually just moved to Kansas City last July from Colorado Springs, Colorado. My boyfriend actually does Wes's Y videos, and a lot of his pictures that you see on social media, my boyfriend does them, and he introduced us. Wes was looking for an admin assistant, and that's what I was looking for. So that's how I got connected with him. Disabled But Not Really is a great program for anybody that has a physical, mental, emotional disability. Our mission is to instill the undeserved disabled community a physically limitless mindset that breeds courage, confidence, and competence. Our vision is to be an environment where anyone that is limited by circumstances beyond their control have a safe place for growth.
And so you started last July. How long has the gym been open? How long has been Disabled But Not Really starting to be effective and make a difference in the Kansas City area?
I believe Wes started 3 or 4 years ago, and I think this is our second year at the gym.
Okay. And of the athletes that come, because I'm very blessed and lucky, I have not been disabled. And so I don't know, and I don't want to ask anything that sounds like offensive, but really asking out of curiosity, what types of disabilities are people coming with? Like what's their ranging from? I know that Wes is disabled from the waist down from gunshot. I mean, I know that. And so what about the other people that come in?
So we have a few right now in our February class that had multiple sclerosis. So they are kind of just stuck in a wheelchair already. We have 2 people that were in a car accident and they were paralyzed from the waist down. We have a blind gentleman that's been working out with us. And then last October, we had a stroke patient work out with us as well. So we have an older lady. She has osteoporosis. So she just kind of has a harder time working out in general. But we have just wide range of it, really anybody.
Well, that was really helpful. I'm glad I asked the question. I felt a little tentative about asking, what defines your athletes. I didn't ask it that clearly. I could have said, what defines your athletes, which sounds like a great question.
No, you're fine.
But that's really helpful to the people that are looking at this video later and they're wondering, well, disabled but not really, like maybe they don't even consider themselves disabled,
Right.
But I love that you gave that extra information. And so how is COVID-19 making changes to what changes are you all making because of COVID-19 with the gym and the athletes?
So the gym's actually been doing some online videos. For the athletes, they've been posting, there's an app that we have our athletes download, and they've been posting home workouts. So even if you don't have the equipment and stuff, we're still trying to make sure that everybody's working out. Classes obviously can't really go on right now, but Wes is doing what he can to post some videos. Our other coaches are posting videos, just trying to make sure we stay in contact with all of our athletes.
The athletes who do come, do they pay a fee to come? How do you all get revenue to run your programs?
So we have, for the scholarship program, everybody basically gets qualified for the scholarship that we have. And then that pays for the majority. And then we just ask that they pay a $60 fee, and that's more for ownership of it. Basically, like, you paid, so we want, you want to come. You don't want more of a drive. Wes is thinking about maybe switching that up a little bit, but for the full 8 weeks, it's just $60, and they can take the class as many times as they want as well.
Okay, and what kind of following do you all have of people that are not disabled, but they really appreciate what you do, like I do? So what kind of following do you have of that in terms of maybe social media? I mean, do you feel like that they offer support? I mean, if I became like, I want to be an advocate of disabled but not really, what would you want me to do?
We count on volunteers, but our following is all over the place. I have actually a lot of my family and friends back home in Colorado follow Wes. They want to see stuff like that out in Colorado. So I would say our following just varies. It's a pretty big support group. I'm not in charge of our social media, but I follow the page as well, and I'll go through the messages and the comments, and people are just really supportive and really nice. Like, they've never seen anything like this before, and they say it's very eye-opening. And I would have to agree, just working with these athletes, they're great. Like, it really shows you what you can do.
So I'd like you to give me a little bit more elaboration on the athletes that you've met, that what, obviously I don't want you to give any names for privacy's sake, but athletes that you've met and how you've seen them transform since they've joined Disabled But Not Really.
Oh, yes. So my first class was in October, and I can say that was probably the very first one, and really the one where I got to know most of our athletes. And that group was by far probably one of the most eye-opening. Our gal that had the stroke, she was probably one of our hardest pushing athletes. She's a single mom. She wanted to get back in there for her kids, She was great. She was very motivational. Our blind gentleman, his personality is probably just as big as Wes's. He's always smiling. He's always motivating, like his fellow athletes. He's very big into like singing and voice recording. So if he knows it's your birthday, he's gonna sing to you, and it's great. Like his personality is just awesome. One of our ladies in a wheelchair, she was pretty shy in the beginning, but she's opened up a lot. Like you can just tell each day that she comes in, she's I don't know how to say it, like not that she wasn't friendly before, but she's just more interactive. You know,
do you think she has more confidence in herself now?
Definitely. A lot of them do. You can definitely by the third week, you can tell that they start feeling better, just like anybody else that works out. But I would have to say our stroke lady was probably one of the most like better changes throughout the program.
Yeah, so that was great. So Makia, thank you so much for your time today.
Thanks.
Are you good?
No, I think so. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.
So Wes, it's lovely to meet you. Thank you. This is the first time that we've actually met.
Yes, it is.
And we are excited that the Urban Scholastic Center is one of our 14 charities for 7 days, Make a Ripple, Change the World. And we're meeting this way because of COVID-19, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But what I'd like to know is, tell us just a little bit about you in particular and how you came to be at the Urban Scholastic Center.
Yeah, sure. So as you shared, my name is Wes Parham, and I ended at the USC, I guess in a combination of ways. Essentially, I had two paths that were really intersected in my life. One was that I've worked in higher education since I finished college. I was a first generation college student. And when I finished, I recognized that my first job out of college allowed me to make more money than either one of my parents had ever made. And I was doing something that I would have done for free. I was a communications major and I would have gone to talk to, and I was doing college recruiting. So I was just going to schools and talking to students. And when I recognized that that's what education did, I decided I'm helping everyone do this. And so my career really followed the goal of how do I help everyone to do and accomplish education. And so that's how I came about. And that was one. The other piece is that I've always been highly involved in my faith community. And in my faith community, I've found my niche with youth and children. And so there are, you know, in my mind, there are two types of ministry people who work with youth and children. There are what I call the closet senior pastors, the people who want to eventually go on and run a church. And I am not that one. I'm the other one who's just like, hey, I just love to see kids grow and develop. And so the USC kind of met both of those two passions in my life. It was an opportunity to continue to pour education into as many people as possible, and then an opportunity to work with children and youth and helping them to develop and be the best that they could be. And so that's kind of how I ended up at the USC.
So Wes, what is your role at USC? I'll call it USC too.
Sure. I am the executive director at the Urban Scholastic Center, or the USC. And I've been in this role for coming up on 2 years, actually. So not too long, but I've been around the USC actually for several years. The founder of the USC, Chuck Allen, he, myself, and my wife used to help plan a conference here in Kansas City for years. And so I've known him for probably over a decade. And then when he transitioned out of the USC, I stepped in about 2 years ago.
Okay, fantastic. So what does the Urban Scholastic Center do?
Well, in a nutshell, we provide educational enrichment and support to pre-K, at this point, pre-K through 12 students. We actually have 4 challenges the organization focuses on. So providing mentorship, providing cultural enrichment, and helping to eliminate the book deficit in Kansas City, Kansas. closing the educational achievement gap for individuals, and providing healthy meals and healthy lifestyle through encouraging exercise and providing meals for the community. So
it sounds like a lot of people are needed to help the 850. So how many staff and volunteers do you all have?
Well, we have a lot of, we don't have a lot, we're a small staff. We've got about 8 full-time people, 2 part-time people, 1 part-time office manager, 5 student interns. So these are high school students who we hire to come on and work with us, and then 1 bus driver. So Mr. Gary, he comes to help us out. And that's our staff. And so all the things that we do are mainly staff driven. We do have some volunteers who come. We do an event called Soul Food every Wednesday. And so we have groups who come in and provide meals. We have volunteers who come in and work with our after school program. And so if I was to count, all of the various volunteers throughout all of the different programs, there'd probably be about maybe 40 to 50 active volunteers. But one of the things that we understand is, hey, we love volunteers and we need them. But we also understand when you're working with youth and children in particular, consistency matters. And so most of our programs are driven by our staff. They work diligently and more than I can pay them for to provide those services. But we're always looking for people who, and that's maybe what's a little unique about us is when we look for volunteers, we're really looking for people who can make about a year commitment. Is ideally what we're looking at for whatever it is that they're doing. So, if it's, hey, I'm going to bring in meals for Soul Food. Well, over the course of the year, we need you to commit to doing that at least 3 times or 4 times, versus, hey, I'm gonna do it 1 time this year, because that's not going to provide the relationship with our students that we're really trying to cultivate.
What would you like to say to people who are new to you? How can they help? How can they, and then how do they make a connection with USC?
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to make a connection with us is on our website. We actually have a section where you could just click in and it says, do you want to volunteer? Or if you want more info. And if you do that, it actually submits directly to us and we'll reach out. But there's a lot of ways for people to connect with us. One of the things that we love people to do constantly is what we call book packing. So every month, we deliver 3 books to every student in 2 elementary schools in Wyandotte, Kansas. So they get a bag with their name on it, and it has 3 books for them to keep in it. And so coordinating, getting those books packed and making sure that they're screened and making sure that they're at the appropriate reading level for the grade and things, that oftentimes requires a group.
Thank you. So how has COVID-19 changed anything that you do and how you do it?
Well, it's changed a lot. As I shared with you, most of what we do is with students. And so it requires kind of gatherings and things like that. And it's been challenging because we can't do that. So we're trying to figure out, how do we continue to build those relationships, mentor our students, provide the resources for them to succeed in a virtual format. And so some of the things we've done is we actually went on and bought a bunch of online learning licenses for Lexia and for IXL, which are programs designed to target learning, and just provided those to parents and to families, and then sent them a mock schedule and structure of what that learning might look like for the rest of the year. So you might look at covering this module on this day, and you might look at having a daily schedule that looks like this for your students as you're doing this homeschooling. And so that's one of the things we've done.
You've been fantastic. Do you have anything else that you just want to say that I didn't give you an opportunity to talk about?
No, I just want to say thank you for this, and to everyone listening. I hope that you're sheltering in place and safe, and pray that that you're able to deal with this pandemic hitting our country in a way that's both mentally and physically healthy. So I pray that for everybody.
Thank you. Thanks, Wes. It's been wonderful to meet you, and we are happy to showcase Urban Scholastic Center this year.
Thank you. I'm so excited.